Hey everyone, so I want to begin this episode with a small thought exercise. I want us all to just take a deep breath, close our eyes, and let's imagine if Titans was a well-paced show. Just close your eyes and just imagine how good that show would be if it just had a clear idea of what the F it was doing. Hey everyone, welcome back. I am so excited to be here to talk to you about Titans, a show that I have mixed feelings about every time I watch an episode. Again, if you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and of course type along, let me know what you guys think. This is a meaty topic because Titans is a show that has a lot of lovers, a lot of haters, and I'm a conscientious watcher. I enjoy Titans. I think that it's hard for me not to kind of enjoy it because I love the Titans brand. That is a franchise that has a lot of love in my heart. At the same time, I am befuddled quite constantly about how this show is paced. Pretty much because there are too many characters on the show and my god, we cannot handle it. In the most recent episode I watched, this video will be coming out a week after I post it because it's going to be up on Patreon first. So I haven't watched episode 10, but I've watched up to episode 9, and it's in the episode, Beast Boy says what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, my brother, if only I could answer that question for you, Garfield, because you've been here for 2 seasons and yet I feel like you have gone nowhere story-wise. And I think a big issue with this season is that it's got an amazing cast. It amazing casting. It has some really great people on it, but they have nothing to do from episode to episode. This season, by Aqualad, I was like, this is too stuffed. And the fact that we have to have flashback episodes, full flashback episodes to give us context for things is a big problem for me. So with the Aqualad episode is how we find out the conflict between Deathstroke and the Titans. And it's because Deathstroke killed Aqualad, showed in front of a bullet for somebody else, Donna loved him all of a sudden, and they're like, okay, he killed our friend, let's go weaponize a young boy's feelings in Jericho and use him to get to Slade, Deathstroke Daddy. And I'm just like, cool. So you guys are all terrible people, but that's okay. That's how the show is. This is not my Titans. This is my cool brother's Titans. That's fine. That's insane. And then Connor shows up, Superboy, who is a delight, the cutest little boy, love him. Crypto's there. This is all great. Whole episode for that connects at the very end, and then he goes away, and now he's back, and not really sure what we're gonna be doing with that storyline, because now they brought in Cadmus with Connor, and it's cool, but we still have Slade to deal with, Hot Daddy Slade, and then oh yeah, Corey, who's also not been getting a storyline for 2 seasons, also has a whole thing going on with her evil sister Blackfire on Tamaran. We're gonna have time for that every 8 episodes to cover. Cool. And then of course there's Hawk and Dove, them 2 fucks, who are great characters, played by really two of the most attractive white people you will find on your television screens being in love. It's that's Aryan love right there. Love to see it. It would be fine if their storylines did not have to be completely elbowed out of the way for it to happen. There's no synergy. There is no sense of any consistency in who gets to do what. It's just broken down in very weird because their storylines are so not connected to the main story because they're dealing with addiction and dealing with recovery and trauma, which are all really, really interesting, but the show doesn't have time for it. Didn't have time for it last season, doesn't have time for it this season. And it's so jarring because this show could be so good, but you need to trim the fat. And it needs a spin-off. Honestly, Doom Patrol is a great show, I love it, but you need Hawk and Dove to have their own show. It's done. And I think especially because for half of this season, for the big chunk of this season, we only have seen Dove in caretaker mommy role, and I'm just Dove, Dawn, she's a really interesting character, has her own grief and her own trauma, but she's just out here just being like, Hank, no. Dick, no. Dick, be Batman. Wait, skirt. Don't be Batman. And I'm just sitting here like, oh man, if only this white woman could get a storyline, you know, that would be so great. I think the character that gets the best treatment this season has been my son, Jason Jamal Todd. An icon, the greatest Robin. Love to see it. Like, the actor who plays him is fantabulous. I think they're doing a great job with Jason, but Jesus. Every other episode will be like, Jason's in trouble. We're gonna just ignore that for an entire episode to do some other shit. I'm like, okay, so here's my feelings on Titans and all. I think they started off really poorly because they were trying to be edgelords with their marketing. They purposefully, in that trailer, put scenes of like Dick like stepping on people's necks, which is not actually happening in the actual episode, and all this other like fuck Batman shit, to like really make people have a polarizing opinion. And then with Anna Jope, they truly let her get like completely fucked over in the marketing of the show. They gave her the worst costume, one of the worst costumes, and one of the worst wigs. The wigs on the show are terrible all around, but I think for a lot of black women it was just extra frustrating because like black women on TV having bad wigs and bad hair is like a thing. And I just feel like when you're gonna race bend these characters and put them in the line of fire like this, could we at the very least give them a good stylist? Like, Anna Jope thankfully is just so beautiful that like she glows through the inability of the show to dress her. But like when she and Dick had that scene and I saw that wig not move, not a bounce curl, I was like, my God. It's so hard because I think that whenever we try to criticize those aspects of the way that they've handled Starfire, people will take that to co-sign some colorist bullshit. And I want to make this a bajillion times clear. Anna Jope is gorgeous. She is beautiful. I love her skin. Everything about her is perfect. There's nothing wrong with her complexion. What was wrong was the show not knowing how to create looks that looked good for her skin and her complexion in the first season. The second season, her wig is much better. They got amen. But that was a whole problem. And the fact that she was the best actress, the best, you know, character that they had on the show and still do, and she has no screen time, despite all of the marketing and backlash they got off her back. The bridge called her back. Was the marketing for Titans, and she gets nothing. And that will always piss me off. It's like, it vexes me. It vexes me now just talking about it. I'm just want to fight because I'm so angry. So I dislike that very much about it. And all the wigs are bad. Raven's wig was terrible in the first season. It's a better color this season, but it's still terrible because the shit is always fucking like this in the back. And I'm like, don't we have a budget? Don't we have a budget? And when it comes to casting, the girl that they have to play Raven, I've met her. The cast is amazing. I really do like them. And the girl who plays Raven is completely adorable. I absolutely love her. But why they cast an actual 14-year-old to be this character when they wanted to make Beast Boy her love interest, and the actor for Beast Boy is like 10 years older than her, is a grown-ass man, makes no sense to me. Raven is one of the few characters in the first season who had an actual storyline, plotline with Trigon, which was done badly, very badly, because they fucking brought in Trigon, killed him in 15 minutes. Don't know why he was even there then. You know, that's, what a waste. What a waste. When that arc was so good on Teen Titans, a children's show, and you couldn't even nail this stuff in life. You know, I don't really want to go into it. It's too much for me. Gar Beast Boy was really tied to Raven through their relationship. And in the second season, Raven has nothing to do. All the stuff is going on with her powers and they're not being explored at all. They explode every 4 episodes. You get something to know about Raven. Every 4 episodes you get that. And Beast Boy, because he can't truly be Raven's love interest, along with the actress is like under 18, it's just kind of this very awkward, like, they're clearly supposed to be a couple, but like they're not allowed to be intimate in any way. And it's just like, why did you cast this child? Why did you make her a child? Why did they make Raven the only actual teen? The decisions that were made. Beast Boy has had nothing to do in 2 seasons, and I feel bad for him because in the most recent episode, Atonement, he's just kind of being like, hey, can you like house sit and babysit Connor while we go have our existential crises, and we'll be back later. Okay? Love you, bye. And I'm just like, again, race bent Beast Boy, got a really talented half Japanese actor to play him, and yet nothing. And I just find that it's just very frustrating, and I wish that the show knew how to, because like stuff with Starfire is fascinating. Blackfire looks, love to see it, okay? She looks great. I love how the conflict between them is when Starfire made a joke about Blackfire's hair. I'm just kind of like, make fun of a black woman's hair, no matter what alien race she is, she feels that shit for life. I love it. And I want more of Starfire stuff because it's actually interesting, but they just keep like shafting her aside for other characters. And even Donna, like one of my biggest issues last season was the Donna Corey conflict. They thankfully squashed that, but in return, I feel like Donna has had nothing to do this season besides kind of be sad over men, whether it be her father or now Aqualad. There's an episode where she fights Slade and Slade bodies her, and I'm like, she's an Amazon, dude. At least a half Amazon. I wish that if the show learned how to focus itself, it would be gangbusters, because I think that a more adult version of Teen Titans is worthy, because it is a series that is about people growing up and evolving. And so I think putting them as an adult and having them deal with childhood trauma is really interesting, but they all have to be on the same level. Like, if you wanted to do it with these core characters, then that's fine, but you don't know really what to do with them. They should have just done this show with the first season being the original Titans lineup from the comics, and then added people and rotated it out as it came along. If they like had one season where it was like, you know, Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Cyborg, that would have been set, and then after some shit happens, like, then you can bring in Beast Boy and Tara. Then you can, you know, and Corey, of course, then you can bring on more people, because then you have time to explore how they add to the Titans universe. Having all of this shit that's like one scope of reality and then another scope of reality is just totally jarring. And the Slade stuff should have been put out throughout multiple seasons. Like, this is an interesting arc that we are being rushed into because they want to get all this big stuff into it. And like, it's great that we have a really cute, good-looking Superboy, but like, when are we gonna have time for him to evolve? We're on episode 10. This is a 13-episode show. You do not have time to have a roster this big and want to do these kind of storylines that lead to nowhere. The most frustrating, and I can't believe that they did really this, but like, who decided to make Ian Glenn Bruce Wayne in the year of our Lord 2019? Like, not only is Ian Glenn not given a single fuck to hide his accent or to look like Bruce Wayne. I mean, he looks like if Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne got older, it'd be Ian Glenn. But who's trying to be Val Kilmer's Batman, I ask you. So the fact that he got cast in that and he's Batman, talking the way he does, and the way that they portrayed him in that episode where like Dick is like going through a whole crisis about Jason's trauma and stuff, I was like, this is honestly the best thing that could ever happen to Robert Pattinson. Because if anyone's like, can Robert Pattinson be Batman? Is he the right actor for it? Just play Ian Glenn as Bruce Wayne in Titans and you will forgive every sin. Okay? Like, literally that performance of Ian Glenn as Bruce Wayne has single-handedly washed away the sins of George Clooney as Batman, of Ben Affleck in Batman vs. Superman. Collectively, all of their sins have been washed away. Ian Glenn is the Jesus of Batman because he literally died for their sins. Because I've never seen something so atrocious in my life. I'm not a Batman girl like that. Like, I like Batman. When I was at Batman Museum a few months ago, I was like, man, I do love Batman. He's so great. I wish he had storylines I cared about it now in these medias. But they just did such a bad job of just portraying that character. And it's the performance. He's not selling it. And I'm like, what would Khaleesi say if he could see you right now, Jorah Mormont? Like, what a mess. And having a bad Batman when you have this Jason Todd Dick Grayson relationship is such a fucking disappointment. The fact that he's not Nightwing already, like they're like the actor was like he needs to go through like the worst thing for him to end up being Nightwing, and I'm like, or He could have already been Nightwing in the beginning. You know, he could have just done that. And then deal with his trauma as being Robin, because people know him as Nightwing, so you didn't even have to make him Robin in the first place. Right? That could have been something. I think for me, the thing about Titans is how it kind of reminds me of the issues with the DC brand overall, is that because the people behind it seem to like know the characters and are able to do a nice Wikipedia search like the rest of us to find out who they are and how they're connected to each other, but don't really understand that like making a good DC product right now does not mean making it edgier than everything else, you know? Like, it could just be good, you know, and wholesome and sweet and caring. You know, it doesn't have to be a dark, everyone says fuck all the time, everyone's dealing with these like traumas that you're never going to really dive into. To make a show like this, like they compare it to like Daredevil and like the, you know, the Netflix series that used to be for Marvel, and they're all gone now. And really, in retrospect, I think we will find out that only one of those shows was good. I'll let you decide which one that was. I know which one it is, but only one of those shows was good. And none of them were consistently good. So, not the best standard you want to hold yourself to. And I think what makes DC special is that, yes, it plays into the fantastical. You know, I think about that, the D&D interview with Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones, about how like they wanted to take the fantasy elements out of Game of Thrones to make it what it is. And I think the thing with Titans is that I feel like it is a show that is struggling against the comic bookness of its origin. Like, from the color palette to the choices they make in character, you know, arrangement. I just feel like it's a show that wants to be, it wants to have Batman animated series realness, but it's too childish to realize that what made Batman the animated series good was not that it was dark, it was that it was thoughtful, and that it had a solid character bible for each character, and that it really cared about telling character drama through the Batman universe. And DC struggles with this all the time. Like, I'm watching screeners for the new Harley Quinn show. I can't talk about it right now, but all I will say is that that show is like if Reddit wrote Harley Quinn. In all the worst ways you could imagine. There is an inability to understand that DC can be dark and entertaining, that it can be compelling and uplifting, that there is allowed to be joy in these products, you know, like not everything has to be dark and gloomy. That isn't even DC's thing. It lacks the heart. It lacks the heart. It lacks the ability to really make them feel like a team. It lacks the understanding that what makes the Teen Titans work is that they are a family, and a genuine family. And by not understanding that, but wanting to use their characters and use their plot points, all they have done is create a show that hits by accident, but misses so hard on purpose all the time. And I can't stop watching it, so I'm also a fool. But I hope that it can eventually get on its feet, but I think that'll never happen until it starts killing characters off. Like, Hawk and Dove need to either leave or get axed. You know, these characters need to go. I think it should just go back to being the core four. It should be Dick, it should be Corey, it should be Beast Boy and Raven. We can put in Donna in there. I would prefer it with Cyborg, but that's not a choice that I was allowed to make again. But that should be it. Come on. It's on paper interesting, and there are moments where it's like you were visually moved by it, but like we barely knew Jericho. He was in 2 episodes of the show. That's a character that we should have been with for a extended period of time. He should have had an arc, and then that whole thing happened. That should have been its own story, and that's a big mistake on Titan's part. And I hope that when the show is renewed for a 3rd season, that they really work on getting some different people in that writing room. I think that while they have the good intentions, they just have not learned how to make this work. Either that, or just go full CW and make it 22 episode order. Like, it needs to either be 22 episodes, or people need to die. period. But what do you guys think? I know that people do love Titans, so if you're enjoying it, why are you enjoying it? What do you love about Titans? What makes you coming back? And what are some of your favorite casting members that are on the show, and who are some of the worst? And any racism against in a joke will get you blocked, because we're not here for that. And again, if you like this content and you want to get a little bit of it early, subscribe to my Patreon. Yeah.